Hello friends and welcome to the Crypto Stacker channel. My name is Dean. If you're watching my videos for the first time, please know I only make them for entertainment, education, and community building in the crypto space. So always do your own research before investing in this project or any project for that matter. Terrarium fans, a very happy Terrarium Tuesday to you all. This week has been very interesting, and the next couple of weeks are of course going to be of interest to everybody interested in Terrarium. Whether you're hoping Terrarium succeeds or you're hoping Terrarium fails, the next 3 to 4 weeks could be very pivotal on how the long-term outlook of the project goes. Some really fascinating things in the Twitter space, in some Twitter feeds that I'll be looking at today. But it's safe to say, I think right now what I'm seeing is both high level of anticipation and excitement and a pretty high level of anxiety. Those of us who've been investing in crypto for the last year, we're getting slammed by what's been an extraordinarily difficult market for the last couple of months. And two, so many of us who've been investing in crypto know that many projects have promised us all kinds of stuff in the last 12 months. And for the most part, most of them have failed. So we'll be looking at Terrarium, some of the promises made, promises kept, and what the potential success or failure of these promises might mean in the coming months or years. So we'll jump into that. Before I get into it all, let's just take a quick look at Terrarium, currently trading 9073. You can see in the last 24 hours, this looks like a lot of activity on this type of a chart. But if you really put it in context with some time behind it, you can see it's kind of been a flat trading week for Terrarium, with the exception of this flurry that happened around last Wednesday. In poking around a little bit and trying to do my research on what happened here, it sounds like somebody felt like there was going to be a specific listing, and that word went out there, and then some people responded or reacted to that news. So I would say for everybody watching the video, if you're following crypto at all, anytime you hear some type of a rumor or you hear news, if it's coming from the development team even, make sure you try to verify it. So in this particular case, I don't know where the rumor came from, but if the development team says it, the credibility should go up if it's a team that you feel like you can trust. And then, of course, you should always cross-reference on the sites that they claim to be listed on and make sure that it's there. I mean, it's generally not too difficult to verify that, but just making a quick judgment call and throwing some money at it could be dangerous. And this could be started sometimes by somebody who's trying to profit from a good rumor, or it could just be organic and, kind of the telephone game where somebody says something, it gets interpreted another way and blown up. But this little blurb right here had a pretty dramatic effect on the volume and therefore the burn and the reflections for Terrarium in the last week. Hey, Terrarium now officially has burned 73.8%. That's with rounding, so we're actually over that 73.8% mark. And you can see here in the last 7 days, 10 trillion tokens burned versus 3.3 trillion in the previous week. So triple the amount in the burn, which should be equivalent in terms of what we see in the reflection side, which I'll show at the end of the video. All right. So I'm going to start with this tweet from Milton on October the 7th. The first thing he talks about is the fact that Terrarium will begin development of their own blockchain in November. Now, this will go down in one of two ways, in my opinion. Okay. Between now and then, Terrarium has other developments or parts of their project that they're developing that should drop. If they're able to drop terapay in the next 2 weeks, which they talk about, and we'll see that in the same post, or of course the exchange, if the exchange goes live, if it's out and available here November 1st, plus or minus 2 weeks, which is what we'd heard in the past, the ability or probability for the development team to bring blockchain to reality, in my opinion, goes up dramatically. So in the near term, what we're seeing with Terrarium, if they drop the exchange and launch Terapay, which they say right here in this same tweet, Terapay listing on Terapool in 2 weeks. All right. Now I went out and looked at Terapool just to see if there was an update here for upcoming projects, if we're launching Terapay, I would love to see this go live, this dashboard, and for us to be able to start seeing that Terapool, which is one of the promises that was delivered on time for Terarium, but we haven't really seen its implementation yet. So I would love to see that start to update as well. Now, that's, a lot packed into that tweet right there. I kind of had a mini vacation. I went down to Phoenix, Arizona to the Musical Instrument Museum. Fascinating place. Went with a couple of my siblings and we had a great time. But I came back to this excitement of Terapay. I wasn't seeing hardly anything on it last week, and now it's all over the place on Twitter. Launching in the next 2 weeks on Terapool, or listing, he says listing on Terapool in 2 weeks. So what that means for its actual, launch and implementation, I'm not 100% certain, but hopefully we're about to see what Terapool can do. And from there, man, you get Terapay launched, you get the exchange launched. I think we're all going to be buying the Kool-Aid at that point on blockchain and that development starting here very, very soon as well. All right, another fascinating thing going on in the community right now. Again, talking about Terapay, Dr. Praveen has dropped another article. And this article was to help people get informed about peer-to-peer payments or direct pay, basically taking that whole banking segment and just moving it out of the way and allowing us to do commerce directly between one another, which could have some pretty big implications for businesses. For instance, I just signed a new credit card processing deal for the job that I work at during the day, and it costs us, 3% of a transaction, more or less, to be able to process that. That's because it's going through a bunch of intermediary steps between the customer and us. So if there were a way to remove that, we could all be saving money. The consumer might save some money, businesses might keep more money, and that could be cool. So I jumped over to Dr. Praveen's article and I gave it a read. It's interesting. There are some new terms in there for me. And, quite frankly, as I got through it, I wasn't really feeling like I had it and I understand exactly what's going on with fintech, which is financial technology. And then, of course, the Web3, which we're currently working on Web2, you and I over YouTube using that platform. Web3, again, somewhat decentralizes the power of the internet and gives us the ability to directly interact with each other. So interesting stuff there. And I actually went a step further on this one because I thought this article was fascinating, but there was the specific article that Dr. Praveen referenced. As physicians, they don't ever just write something. They have to source everything that they use to do their research. This is just very typical when it comes to writing medical papers, but this was helpful for me. I actually clicked the link through on this and read this article as well, which is by somebody named Kartik Agarwal. I'm sure I butchered that, but he's part of the Forbes Technology Council. And this is a really great article and talks about the possibilities for companies that are able to combine Web3 with financial payments. So I thought this was really, really good. And if you go search fintech just for fun, it's actually pretty fascinating, you guys. The top return is for a class sold at Berkeley. There are lots of other universities involved here. Columbia University, these guys are starting to see the trends that are coming and are looking to push education towards the future. So pretty interesting stuff. I would definitely give Dr. Praveen's article a read. And then if you're curious, he's listed all of his references there. There's a lot more information to unpack. So bouncing back over to Milton again here and just kind of scrolling to the top. Milton talking about Terapay launching again here with plugging Dr. Praveen's. And this one I also thought was kind of interesting. Milton saying he became a Dubai resident for Terareum. I'd like to ask him exactly why. Why was that necessary? He says he'll go wherever Terra takes him. I don't know if it's required that you be a resident to do business in Dubai, but I thought that was interesting. So I'm feeling like, a nice AMA might be on the horizon, hopefully. I'd love to pick Milton's brain, to pick Dr. Praveen's brain a little bit more about what the future looks like for Terarium with terapay and how they're feeling in terms of confidence about the launch of these products. So I'm going to try to put my feelers out there and maybe see if we can't initiate a discussion. Let's see. Last thing I'd like to do today is just show you my reflections. And again, like I say, it was a pretty good week here because of that added volume. So again, today, October the 10th, my current bag, 11,180,170 million. And in the last 7 days, I've received 641 million. So more than triple the reflections that I received from the previous week. That brought my total now of reflections from the launch of the project, February 21st until now, to 40,191 million. So it's creeping up there. At current prices, worth about $32. And then you can see my token value here, straight 8s across the board. About half of what my cost basis is on the product. So hopefully you guys, these projects, they come through as anticipated and we start to see the snowball roll down the hill instead of feeling like we're pushing it up the hill right now. But guys, keep it positive out there. Seeing a lot of negativity in the crypto space, and I've seen it play out before. If it gets inside a project, it can be very toxic. We don't need it with Terarium. Let's focus on the positive. Let's keep cheering for the development team. And development team, you've got some great things out there on the board. We would love to see them come to reality as anticipated. Friends, I hope you're having an amazing week. Check back with me soon. We'll watch our crypto stacks grow together.